Hey, everybody on social media. I'm here with my friend and business office neighbor, Claudia McMullin, who is the proprietor of Hugo Coffee. Hugo has been a longtime fixture here in the Park City community, and certainly a place where a lot of the community goes to have business or personal meetings and to grab a snack. Their morning sandwiches are fantastic. Of course, a cup of Joe or cocoa, whatever you fancy, or tea. Hugo's has always been a great place for that. I wanted to talk to Claudia a little bit about what is going on with in the current economy with COVID and how it's affected her business. And so, Claudia, maybe we can start by you just telling a little bit about your story, where you grew up and how you ended up here in Park City.
All right. Thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. So I'm Claudia McMullin. I'm the founder of Hugo Coffee Roasters, and I have two businesses. I have a roasting company and I have a coffee shop. And the coffee shop is Park City LLC, doing business as Hugo Coffee, but two companies, a coffee shop and a roasting company. And I landed in Park City, Utah in 1999 from New York City. I was living on the Upper West Side, and I was an attorney at a big Wall Street firm for a decade. And prior to that, I was a stockbroker in the 80s in New York. And prior to that, I was in college in Colorado, and I grew up in upstate New York. So I moved to Utah in 1999 when I quit my job, sold my apartment, and moved out to Utah because I didn't want to be a lawyer anymore. And really what I didn't want to be was an attorney. I didn't want to be a partner in a big Wall Street firm because I didn't want that life. And I decided I was going to come to Utah and start live an outdoor lifestyle like I did when I was in college. So I landed in Utah in 1999 with this desire to not really practice law, but then I got here and I was like, oh, that's what I know how to do. So I did it, and I did it as little as humanly possible to cover the nut of my mortgage so I could hike and bike and ski and try other things. And during the course of my time here, I have done a number of things to not be a lawyer. And this will actually lead to Hugo in a minute. So one of the things I did is I ran animal rescue. I ran Friends of Animals Utah, which is now Nuzzles and Company, which because animal rescue is a big part of who I am, and it's part of my DNA. So that was like a great job. And during that time, I also ran for office. So I ran for public office. I was a Summit County Council member for 2 terms from 2008 to 2016. Now, during the time I was on the Summit County Council, by virtue of that role, I sat on the executive committee of our local Chamber of Commerce. And in that capacity, so the Chamber has this beautiful building called the Visitor Information Center. And the Visitor Information Center houses a coffee shop. And it had only been in existence about a year while I was on the board, and I learned that the operator of the coffee shop was not going to renew its lease. And I thought that was a travesty because I used to go to this coffee shop for my business meetings because it was big, lots of light, you could read a document, you weren't sitting on top of each other. And I thought, this is terrible. So I went home to my husband and I said, well, I could do that. So I bought a coffee shop. So I ended up buying the coffee shop, and this took about the whole transaction was like a month. I hired the prior proprietor's best barista, and she taught me the business. And so I ran a coffee shop for a couple of years. I've run it for 7 years, but I had it for a couple of years when I realized that I wanted to start a roasting company because I want a couple of things. I wanted to control the product. I wanted to up the quality of the product, and I wanted to control my product. I wanted to vertically integrate, and I wanted someday to make some money. Like, because a coffee shop can be successful, meaning it's, got net income, but you're never going to pay a mortgage running a coffee shop unless your business model is to run 3 or 4 coffee shops.
Right.
So I decided to start a roasting company instead. So that's what I did in 2015. And then in 2018, so I did it very late in 2015. So we started business in December 2015. In 2017, I had an epiphany in the shower in November of 2017. I thought, I need to distinguish my coffee shop, my coffee roasting company. How am I going to do that? What is an authentic distinguishing feature of my high-end coffee roasting company versus another high-end coffee roasting company? And I realized it's animal rescue because I named both companies after my rescue dog, Hugo, who I was a foster failure when he was 3 weeks old, when I got him from Nuzzles and Company, when I was running Nuzzles and Company. So I decided to change my company's mission to be that of a social mission base where I give back to animal rescue with the coffee that I sell, the roasting company. So our mission at Hugo Coffee Roasters is to save dogs by roasting and selling fantastic fair trade organic coffee. That's
Fantastic.
the story, Carl.
That's such a great story, Claudia. And yeah, I totally failed to mention, besides Hugo being a longtime fixture in the community, you yourself have been here for a long time, and you've been so socially active with so many wonderful initiatives, particularly, and we know that we all love our animals in Park City. We take care of them, and the community bonds together to try to help animals, and certainly you've facilitated and helped that so much. So thank you. Tell us a little bit about how COVID has affected your coffee shop and the roasting business, if you would, please.
Sure. So on March 15th, 2020, I closed my coffee shop. So it affected, by virtue of the Summit County Health Order, the stay-at-home order. So I lost 100% of that business overnight. And by virtue of the same order, I lost 95% of my roasting company's business because 95% of my business are wholesale customers, which include hotels, restaurants, resorts, coffee shops, universities, corporate headquarters. The silver lining, if any, has been that luckily part of my 2020-2021 business plan had been to pivot from so much dependence on wholesale to direct to consumer. So my goal had been to grow my sales from 5% of direct to consumer online sales to 50% in the next 2 years. I was in the middle of gearing up for that in the first quarter of 2020. I was looking to hire in-house marketing staff. I did a brand audit. I'd gone through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small business program last year, and I had some concern that my messaging was inconsistent across platforms. So I had engaged a brand audit, and I had built up a Shopify on my website, a Shopify account on my website. We had one. We did that in December. We hadn't really activated it very much. So when March 15th happened, I immediately had to pivot immediately to direct-to-consumer online sales since I lost all my wholesale accounts overnight.
And you could no longer serve coffee in the coffee shop.
And I hadn't been able to serve coffee in the coffee shop. So the coffee shop business, that was just over until I could reopen.
Yep. And
then the question was, do I have the cash flow to still pay the bills while it's closed? Luckily, I have a landlord who forgave rent. And the other thing I did, I made it my job for 2 months, and still is, frankly, but my job for 2 months was to find money, to apply for money, to apply for grants. That was my full-time job. I applied for PPP and EIDL repeated times, like 15 times for both businesses. I would apply at all the financial institutions. And the first one that gave it to me was the one that I opened an account with. And then I was mentoring other small business owners in how to apply, because I saw the writing on the wall on March 12th when I got a call from my staff, my delivery staff, who said, overstock is dead. Like, there's nobody here. And that was before the order. And I just knew this wasn't going to get better. So that day I called the state. I called the SBA representative of the state. I called all my lenders, and I immediately got forbearance for the next quarter on all of my loans. So I was constantly learning and teaching others how to find money during this time.
You've been very, very smart, very proactive, obviously. The reality is that while helpful PPP funds and EIDL, sooner or later that all runs out if the business demand doesn't come back to some sense of normalcy, right? And so tell us maybe a little bit about where you're at now. And, if you could ask the community for your heart's desire, what would that be? How can we engage to help make sure that Hugo remains a long-term fixture of our community?
Okay. So two things, two different companies. I have two different asks and two different stories.
Yeah.
The coffee shop. So the coffee shop reopened on May 3rd. Was it May 3rd or June 3rd? No, it was May 3rd. And sales have not remotely come back to same time last year. I'm going to say my average is 50% down. 50% down without PPP. I don't gross enough to pay payroll and supplies for the coffee shop. PPP is going to run out for the coffee shop at the end of July. I have 2 more payrolls of PPP left. And then if my sales don't come back, then I have a choice to close or subsidize the account, that business with my roasting revenue. Now, my roasting revenue, unfortunately, is also down 40%. It was down 95%, and so that's a positive thing that it's only down 40% now.
Sure.
We have been lucky enough, Hugo Coffee has been lucky enough to have received grant money. I've won a number of grants in addition to PPP and EIDL. Sufficient, I met with my CFO last week. The grant funding, the funding that I managed to attain for the roasting company will probably help me survive at current sales levels for 4 to 6 months. But I don't want current sales levels, obviously, right? I need to grow those sales. I need to get those sales back to something like normalcy. Unfortunately, this was going to be my hockey stick year of growth for the roasting company. And we were on track to break $1 million in sales this year. Well, that's not happening anymore. I'll be lucky if I do $500,000 this year. And right now I'm not on track to do that. So the other thing that I was lucky, I got a grant. First of all, I found a great marketing team that I've activated, and I'm investing money in marketing. I'm investing money in my website. I'm investing money in a new website, a new WordPress website, because apparently you can't SEO Shopify-based websites as well as you can WordPress websites. So I need to wrap my website. I also won a grant from a company called Thought Lab, which is an advertising agency. And through them, and the grant was for advertising services. So that company is working with my marketing team. And the whole purpose of all of this, by the way, is to drive sales to my Shopify, my online Hugo.coffee Shopify account for sales online. So they have created an affiliate marketing program. So we got content writers, we got paid ads, we're doing all the things one's supposed to do to push online sales and to do a full-blown marketing plan. We're doing all those things. We only started in May. It's just the very first day of July. Have not really seen tremendous results so far, but that's normal from what I'm told, even though I'm anxious about it. So my hope is that my online direct-to-consumer Shopify sales really grow in the next quarter to offset the losses in the wholesale arena. Now, my wholesale people, they are coming back slowly, really slowly. Some restaurants are opening, some of the hotels are opening. I got my first Montage order yesterday. That was great. I have my first St. Regis order. That was great. They're nothing like the orders that they used to be, but at least they're back in business. So that's happy making for me. The university is not, I have 3 coffee shops around the university, and they're all dependent on the U. And I also have the U. I'm in the U as well. None of that's going to happen again until September at the earliest, if at all. And then, of course, I have corporate headquarters, including like Overstock and Adobe, and their ramp back is super slow. Like Adobe was looking at bringing 10% of their employees back right now, and growing it to not even full by the end of 2020. So that's my story as far as the impact. And with respect to the roasting company, the PPP runs out as similarly with the shop by the end of July.
Yeah. Well, thank you for, sharing the story. And obviously, the situation has caused significant impact in a lot of businesses, in a lot of our community, in our personal lives. Certainly it has within your business. And as you've expressed, if your sales either on the wholesale side or in the coffee shop don't begin to come back to some sense of normalcy, you maybe have 6 months of runway. Maybe you can stretch it to 8 or 9, but the reality is that, you need support for your business, so that, you can continue to not just exist and survive, but to thrive as a business, right? Which is what we need for our Park City, and Summit County communities to continue the level that it was before. So tell us how the community can help you, and why don't you tell us how we can get a hold of you?
Sure. Okay. So how you can help me, how the community can help me. First of all, I also want to just really thank the community for the amount of support we've had, during this very difficult time. We've had a ton of, the community has been great rallying around small businesses. So thank you to the community. How to continue to support? Well, if coffee shop wise, if you're comfortable, you have to come in with a mask because we have a mask ordinance now. And if you're comfortable, because it's so big, the space is so big, it is socially distanced. Every table and seat are 6 feet apart from each other, which is great. I did that.
And it was prior, yeah.
Yeah, I did that. I did that back in May. The only real difference now is that you have to wear a mask when you come in, and you have to wear a mask while you're hanging out. You don't obviously wear a mask while you're eating and drinking. So for sure, how to support Hugo Coffee shop is to come to the shop, call the shop, we do curbside delivery, we do dine in, and we do, grab and go. So that would be terrific. I do feel like, part of me feels like I made a mistake by not staying open for curbside delivery during the shutdown, but I didn't because my staff didn't feel comfortable. They weren't happy about doing that. So I was like, fine, then we're going to close. That's totally fine. Plus, it would have entailed me working there for 6 hours a day or whatever number of hours a day. And that would be the only way it would have made sense. And I couldn't do that because I was busy trying to save my businesses by filing for, loans and grants and doing all the things I was doing. But I do think that the fact that I didn't stay open for curbside delivery, I got out of the community's mind. So I want to remind the community that I'm there, that we're there, and we're dog friendly, and we want you to come, and we want you to buy coffee beans, buy coffee, buy food, take it with you, stay, whatever you want to do. That would be a huge support. And as far as the roasting company, absolutely, go online, get in the habit of buying your beans online, subscribe to the automatic fulfillment every month or every couple of weeks, and just buy your coffee online. Don't go to the grocery stores, or go to the grocery stores, but buy Hugo Coffee when you go to the grocery stores, or buy it online. But help me with the direct-to-consumer, help me grow my direct-to-consumer business, because that is the only way I really believe Hugo Coffee is going to survive. Because I don't think we're at I don't feel comfortable as a vendor hitting up businesses right now. Hey, you want to switch coffee providers? Because I feel like, so I don't want to hit up restaurants or hotels. I don't want to bother anybody right now because we're all struggling, right? People are all just getting back to whatever their new normal is going to be, or just reacting and pivoting and dealing as days progress, and things are changing all the time. So I don't want to add on by being like, ding dong, hi, I'm trying to sell you on a wholesale account. So I'm not really focusing on that right now because I think I don't feel comfortable doing it. So it's all direct to consumer. So www.hugo.coffee, shop. That would be fantastic. Yeah. And the coffee shop. And if you are some new business going to start, some restaurant, hotel, whatever, coffee shop, and you're interested in Hugo, obviously I would love that too. And you can always call me at 435-901-2123. I think my number's pretty easy to find. It's Claudia McMullin. I'm on the website, all over the website, and it's Claudia@hugo.coffee, no .com, .coffee. Claudia@hugo.coffee.
Fantastic.
And that's it.
Thank you so much, Claudia. This has been very fun. It's been very insightful as well. And by all means, why go to the grocery store and buy a subpar, national brand of beans you might as well get it delivered, from a local company, a local source producing high quality, product. And so, if I can say anything to the community, let's remember that this situation has created significant detrimental impact to a lot of businesses in our community and to our community as a whole. And we have to remain mindful that we need to support our local businesses. We need to buy local. By all means, let's support Claudia. Let's support Hugo, whether that be the coffee shop or the roasters.
Or both.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Or both.
Or both. Yes, absolutely. Thank you again, Claudia. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. We hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, Earl.